It doesn't really matter what you're doing. Just think about where you wanna go, and think about your strengths and how you can use your strengths to really, really maximize your potential. If you're a good talker, then be in a job where you talk more, right?
Welcome everyone to my own Bigger Picture podcast, specialized in career growth, a podcast based on one saying, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. I'm Christelle, founder of my own Bigger Picture, guiding leaders to career development abroad and career change. Today, I'm with our first special guest, a talented and driven leader. His name is Sema Fongod. He's currently working as an enterprise account director for the zone EMEA with High Wages, a fintech company using artificial intelligence software for receivables and treasury. Link to his LinkedIn is available in the description box. Sema has been building an outstanding and impressive career in the business payment industry in the UK. I selected Sema as a guest because to me he's really leading by example, and most of all is not at all afraid to try. When you talk to him, you feel that he's eager to grow, self-driven, and has at heart to share knowledge and experience. Career-wise, Sema overcame the number one major challenge for any foreign student, getting a working visa. Then, in terms of job positions, Sema has been seizing each opportunity to one, thrive, aligning to his career interests, and two, climb the corporate ladders. For instance, from telemarketing sales executive to head of business development in 6 years and 3 months' time, and 4 positions in the same company. And if it wasn't already enough, Sema is as well an entrepreneur and is engaged and committed to charities back in Cameroon, where he comes from. Now, I guess you understand why Sema is an outstanding leader and professional to get to know. To me, I set Sema as an example for whoever is seeking career advancement. Thank you for being here with me today, Sema. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfect.
Perfect. So how is it?
Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome. I mean,
Thank you.
your path is really, your career is really amazing. And I'm so
Thank you.
happy and honored to have you today. So in this talk today, we will speak about, on the one hand, your industry and profession. I really want the audience to understand what you've been doing, and maybe it could help them to make decisions for their own career. And second, I will really want to dive into your limitless career mindset and drivers. So
Okay.
are you ready to
Yep,
start the
sure.
conversation?
Yep, sounds good.
Let's start with your industry and profession. So, what is the business payment industry, and notably in light of the day sales outstanding?
So business payments, it's a very, very unique industry. So it's one of those industries where everybody knows everyone in the industry. So a handful of companies, if you think about, for example, card payments, everyone knows Visa, MasterCard, American Express. So the sort of the 3 main players. There's obviously a lot more than them, but it's a very, very small industry in a way. Because once you get in, you get to know everyone, and people just tend to move around. So yeah, so the business payment industry, specifically for UK and Europe, is kind of where I've been. I'm still in that space, and it's all around facilitating software consultancy legislations as well, that allow for you know payments to be wired across, so payments as well as collections. So that we call collections payments in the sense of the word, to be wired across the industry, through banks, channels, SMEs, trust, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's an industry that facilitates the mechanisms, the technology, and the regulation for money movement effectively, and because money effectively needs to be paid and moving around different parts of the ecosystem. So that's kind of what that industry covers. So everything to do with that. I know that's a bit of a broad answer, but I'm sure we can dive into that later on.
Okay, no, but it's great. At least we get a foot on it. And why is it exciting to work in this industry?
I think for me is the most exciting industry because no matter what you do, no matter what kind of facet of life you're involved in, payments is what it cuts across, right? So no matter what you do, everyone pays, everyone collects money.
Yeah.
So I think to be in an industry that is one recession proof.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen now that as we all locked in the pandemic, as you can see, I actually look very, very overgrown my hair just because the barbers, the barbers are all short. So the point is, because of the pandemic, which is technically going to actually be even worse than the recession we had in 2008, um, it's good to be in an industry as well that is recession proof.
Yeah.
So the payments industry is one that even in a recession, there's going to be payments moving around. People are going to be paying for stuff online through e-commerce platforms and websites and all whatnot. So it's a good industry to be in, and yeah, I think it's something which, if you're looking for an industry where you think you can make a difference, then probably should consider this.
Oh wow! You mentioned the pandemic. What would be the effect on the industry and your profession as well?
So I think the biggest thing in terms of the COVID pandemic for us is the inability to actually have physical interactions with these counterparts. Because if you think about the fact that we work predominantly across every industry, so we tend to have meetings, conferences, events, and all that kind of stuff, webinars, as in obviously physical webinars.
Mhm.
Um, that's kind of been slowed down due to the pandemic, and I guess that cuts across every industry. So there's nothing specific to the payments industry in terms of COVID, if I'm being perfectly honest. Obviously, there's lots of payment holidays
Mhm.
because obviously people are in difficult financial circumstances, so that affects the ability to make payments.
Yeah.
So people like card issuers. So a card issuer basically is somebody who's going to have a kind of a system, a gateway to allow for payments to be made.
Mhm.
So because obviously people are not making payments, that obviously impacts them because they make a margin on every single transaction that goes through that system. So that obviously affected. But then again, every industry is affected by COVID, isn't it? So in terms of a specific influence, I won't really say there's any. It's a very good industry to be in, like I said, because no matter what happens, everyone still makes payments.
Yeah.
Obviously industries like say pharma or health, leisure, hospitality, transport, obviously taking a much bigger hit.
Mhm.
We are in a really good space, so I'm thankful for that.
So, what would you advise to someone who would like to tap into the industry, or at least or your position? What would you advise?
The first thing is I'll get them to think of payments in general
Mhm.
as how can I put it? Just think of payments as in something you do on a day-to-day life, right? I'm just trying to think about for a second, like so when you want to make a payment
Mhm.
or when you want to initiate a collection, what does that actually mean? So think of it as a layperson, just anyone on the street, and it's going to expose your mind to things that you would never have thought about if we didn't have this conversation right now. I'll give an example. So if you want to make a payment, if you want to go onto a website, for example, and initiate a payment on, like, let's say, like, Boohoo or Zara or any online website or a flight industry, or whatever, you want to make a payment online, right? So between you making the payment
Mhm.
and you getting that email in your inbox saying the payment has been authorized and everything has been good to go. So if you're booking a flight, between you making the payment online and actually you getting the confirmation, the e-ticket, there's at least 10 companies involved in that process, right?
Can you develop on it,
Yeah,
please?
so if you think, so when you want to initiate the payments, right?
Mhm.
So the process of actually going onto the website, say, okay, I want to fly from London
Mhm.
to Madrid, right? It's 200 euros or whatever it's going to be. Click to pay. What happens is most often there's a quick AML check. So AML is anti-money laundering, a quick like fraud check,
Mhm.
almost in a way. That's a company that's giving you that service.
Mhm.
Obviously, not you, the consumer, paying for it, but the say like a Ryanair or EasyJet or British Airways. That's what they're gonna have to find a
Yeah.
company that can help them with that whole ecosystem, right? And even if you find one company that does all of it, they still would subcontract some of those little things to different companies, because every company has a part to play in that space. So you're gonna have to do like a fraud check, making sure that obviously there's no dodgy details or whatever entered. That's one part of the system. Um, Once that goes through, they'll do like a little verification check to ensure that the card, I'm sure you all see 3D secure. It's a very big thing in the UK, for example. When you're gonna make a payment, you see 3D secure, making you're just kind of doing a check. That's the second part. That's more like a verification check,
Mhm.
making sure that this card belongs to Sema or Christelle or Christian or Fabrice, making sure that that card actually is a valid card. Because of course, if you're making a payment with a card that is invalid, there's no point you going all the way and then British Airways finding out that it was a wrong payment. So they do the check right there and then. That's like the second part. The third part is the card issuing.
Mhm.
So the card issuing basically is so it's like what actually allows the payment to be taken from your card. So as part of that as well is the card gateway. So that physical thing you see online when you want to make a payment, that's a card gateway. And they call it different things. It could be e-commerce platform, e-commerce website, e-commerce gateway, whatever it is. That physical, whatever box that allows you to make that payment. That's another company, for
Like
example.
Shopify, for example.
Absolutely. So and then once that happens, the messaging that goes to the different banks, so it's another whole company involved with it. And again, depending on the kind of payment stream. So obviously, I've got Visa, Mastercard, Ali Payments, BitPay. There's so many different kinds of payment streams, right? So all these companies are doing different things in the background, all the way to the authentication. And again, that could be done by okay, now we've got cryptocurrencies, we've got my tokens and all whatnot. So my point is, just for you to make that payment, we don't think about it as regular people, but there's so much involved just in you making that payment.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I think it's a good industry because you don't need to be working for a company that does everything. You don't just work for a company that does one of those things because in a way you're exposed to the whole stream, right? Because you cannot know exactly how you fit in if you don't know the entire cycle, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So that's something which I think was fascinating for me as a consumer and as somebody who's obviously in the industry and obviously developing some of the systems and selling some of the systems that enable these different companies to benefit from that. So I would say for anyone that's looking to come in, do your research based on just what I've said so far. Start thinking of it in that sense, and start doing research on acquirers, payment streams, payment gateways here and there in whatever country you're in. Because Australia has different payment gateways. UK, France, Spain, they've got different kind of payment gateways. Some of them are obviously universal. So just do your research on all these things, and you'll start obviously uncovering some of this information just by doing research. And I'm sure we can always have another session and I can run through, you know,
Yeah.
all all of these things.
And in addition, I'd like to know, because I know, and we will see later, that you have a bachelor degree in finance and accounting. And I'd like to know, do you need any background, a technical background?
Well, for my degree or for what I do
No,
now?
I mean for tapping into the industry.
Not really. You don't need to be like an IT,
Mhm.
or the most geeky software. That's if you want to do software development. So if you're very clever and you want to do like anything to do with making payments or anything to do with like building software or fraud systems and all whatnot. Obviously, anti-fraud is a big thing in the industry right now. Definitely, then this is the industry for you because everything is just APIs and technology, really. So this is a good space for you to come in and make a
API.
difference.
Sorry, just what does mean API? What does?
Application programming interface. So
Okay.
basically, all these things that we do, every single thing in life is just APIs.
Mhm.
So just think of API as example of an API. So if you go to a website, any website, most websites have this anyway, and you go to contact us or
Mhm.
contacte nous, when you go to see on the website, you see like a little Google map
Yeah.
of where their offices are and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's an API to Google Maps on their website.
Oh, okay.
It's just basically systems talking to each other.
Okay.
It's something which anybody who's into like software or whatever would definitely understand. So the point is, if you're into software development or if you're into you know IT, network building, network infrastructure, this is a good industry for you because all of these different companies are running on hosted platforms. So what does that mean? They need to be maintained. They need to be, they need to be audited. They need to be serviced, and of course that's done by obviously the techie people. We are just in the forefront, thinking of trying to position it, and obviously handling the go-to market, handling the sales of it. But yeah, so I think there's not technical. You don't need to have a technical background to be in this industry. No.
Okay. Okay, great to know. So now we will move forward to the different roles that you had, which are telemarketing sales executive, business development, and account management. So what are those positions?
So yeah, that was how the old company I used to work for until about 7 8 months ago. So what happened is, so I'm a salesman. I'm a
Okay.
corporate salesman. If I had to, if my I had to have like a passport and a set occupation, I'll just put corporate salesman or sales manager. That's actually what I have in my passport, sales
Okay.
manager. So what that means is, in any company, there's like especially in software sales, SaaS, as we call it, software as a service, um, enterprise sales, effectively.
Mhm.
There's always like a ladder that you climb. So if you think of
Yeah.
like the military,
Mhm.
you have the entry level, then general, then colonel, then lieutenant. I don't even know what the order is. Same thing for piloting. You start flying, small one or two seater jets to maybe the jumbo jets to the Concords and all the way to the Airbuses, right? The point is, in every single thing, in every single career, right, there's like a ladder, right? From like accounting is from a associate all the way to senior associate to partner, obviously, senior partner and so on. So the step in sales is telemarketing executive stroke, sales executive stroke, lead generation executive,
Mhm.
and then so I'll just actually say what I would in terms of what my story was. So I started as a telemarketing executive, which basically means is what that is. I'm basically on the phones organizing sessions with companies to enable them to buy their interest.
Okay.
So all I'm doing is getting them interested. Would you like to have a 1 hour call or 30-minute call with one of my experienced sales guys? And then I have access to all the sales guys' diaries and I'll book it in.
Okay.
So I'm basically the front person that does all the, working on marketing, sending out the content, delivering the messaging. And then if you get any interest, I'm the one in charge of making sure that we can cultivate that lead
Okay.
into a sales opportunity, right? So that was the sales marketing side I did. Then obviously that happens, and then after that you become a salesperson, the full salesperson, where you're actually selling stuff from once the telesales guys generate it all the way to closing the deal and
Mhm.
actually managing the whole process and the pipeline of customers and clients you have. So that's what I did. So you do what you call business development manager internal.
Okay.
What that means is business development manager basically is like you're in charge of getting new customers.
Okay.
That's all it is. So, because I know people always confuse that with account management. Account management is you have existing accounts that are already customers of the company. You're just working with them to make sure that obviously they're happy, they can buy more. You can obviously make sure they always renew their contracts, all that kind of stuff, right? That's what account managers do. So, business development is obviously getting new customers to come in. So, business development people in general are more skilled, I would think, because it's a harder skill to go and get someone who doesn't know anything about you, then obviously talking to someone who's already a customer of yours and likes the product to say, do you want to go from iPhone 11 to iPhone 12? But if you're on Samsung, for me to come and tell you, do you want to leave Samsung and come to iPhone? That's where it's hard, right? So that's where business development people tend to be more employable. They tend to earn more because they know that obviously it's a harder job. So I did that, and in business development, there's two steps, right? So the first step is internal. So what that means is you're pretty much working in an office. You're on the phones. So everything you do mostly is on the phones. You can close business on the phones. It's mostly through online sessions, but everything's on the phone, right? You don't need to leave the office. Then the next step is business development manager field. So what that means is that you're now out and about. You now have bigger clients. So like if you think of a business development manager internal or an account manager internal, depending on the kind of industry, you could even have 300 customers.
Wow.
But when you come a field guy, you probably would have about 40 because they're bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to go see them every quarter. You have to manage the relationship, so you have to keep nurturing it, making sure they renew, upselling, cross selling, all that kind of stuff. Um, so
And what
that's how I
was
did.
Sorry, where was based the clients in your case?
So my old job, most of my clients were UK.
Hmm.
Also about 95% were UK. Oh, about 92% were UK. About 5% were Ireland,
Hmm.
and about 3% were global. So
Okay.
United States, Spanish, yeah. But yeah, most of it was in the UK, which is kind of why I moved to my current job because my current job is now everywhere. Kind of
Yeah,
everywhere.
so it's the next question you anticipated. So
Yeah.
focusing on your current position, can you give us more insights? Like what is the change from what you've been doing to now and the scope and what is it a day or a week in your position?
Okay. I think the biggest difference, actually, there's a few differences between my old jobs, the last six, like you said, about 6, 7 years, I was my old company, and my current job. So my old company like was pretty much like you also we've mentioned just now was selling pretty much into the UK,
Hmm.
and my current job is selling globally. So I have clients in America, Spain, South Africa, basically everywhere in the world, and that's gonna grow, right? Because I'm obviously finding my feet and obviously building my pipeline. In terms of the kind of clients, so that's the first difference. The
Yeah.
second difference is my old job. I was working with SMEs and huge corporates, some banks too, of course, but predominantly it was SMEs and some big corporates, so smaller businesses. So in the UK, I work with like a council. I work with the NHS trust. Maybe I work with people of that like. I could work with the local gym
Hmm.
to help them with a payment system. So it could be basically anybody that was making payments or collecting payments. My new job is $1 billion companies only. So if you're 900
You
million
said
dollar,
$1 billion company.
so we only work with $1 billion companies. So if you're $900 million, okay, maybe we'll not run your business. Well,
Mhm.
but we probably would. But yeah, the point is we tend to do it. So like Nike, Adidas,
Okay.
Lincoln, Splintley, like people like that. So basically, what we do is, so that's the first thing. So first thing is the market. Obviously, now it's global, so UK, old job. Then the type of clients. So because of these two differences, now it brings about many more differences now because the cycle. So before it would take me about 3 to 6 months to close a deal. On average, now it takes me about 6 to 9 months
Mhm.
because it's bigger. It's $1 billion companies. There's a lot of people involved. In my old job, that sometimes I don't even get to speak to the CEO or even the CFO sometimes in my old job because we're smaller companies. My current job, yeah, I tend to, yeah, because it's big deals. My old job, some of the things, the deals we'll sell would be £5,000, £10,000 here and there. My current job is £100,000 and above, $100,000 deal. So it's big enterprise solutions, So it's just a step up in terms of everything I did before, and obviously that's what everybody wants in their career, right?
Yeah,
You want to be at a point where even if you're moving jobs, it should be because it's in line with your career advancement, like you said at the introduction. So I thought this role was perfect exactly for what I'm looking to do, and obviously because they're growing global company, I think they fit perfectly into my long term goals of establishing my own fintech in
Mhm.
Africa.
Wow. We will come to that. We will come to that.
Sure. Okay.
If you want to share it, of course, obviously.
No, you ask the questions. I'm just gonna answer.
Wow. And what is it a day like? What do you do on daily basis just for people to get an insight of the job? Like just think about someone who want to tap in the industry at your position with the same, for example, with a relevant background. Like what
Yep.
is the day?
Um. Very good question. No one day is the same,
Yeah.
and I'm sure everyone knows that as you keep going up the ladder, you basically have this. Just 9 to 5 doesn't exist anymore. You can work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So there's no 9 to 5 where you have to leave, because things always just happen, right? I have clients when Australia is minus 12 hours for us. So what I mean is sometimes I have to speak to them at 1 a.m. my time or 11 p.m. midnight my time because that's 11 a.m. their time, right? So because of that, the job is a lot more, you know, the times of it interesting. I work a lot with my colleagues in the US, so obviously US is minus 5, 6 hours, so it's not surprising for me to be working at 10 p.m., which is 4 p.m. that time. But in terms of the day-to-day operations, I would say most of my time actually is working internally with the teams. I'm very lucky to have some people in India that work in the team. I've got a close person I work with in London here. I've got some people in the US as well because we're a global company. So most of the work we actually do day to day is actually working internally, making sure that we respond adequately because, like I said, this is billion-dollar deals, billion-dollar companies. Sorry, and it's really big deals, six-figure deals. So we want to make sure that we have everything correct and everything we're kind of delivering to them is on point. So we will obviously always have calls, Zooms like this, and lots of sessions to understand how to respond. So of course, the important thing is that you're obviously selling. So I'm trying to sell to these big companies. So I'm working with the teams to ensure that we have the right scripts that we can send out to them to get them to be interested to talk to us. Once they want to talk to us, then we have to have a call to understand exactly what background do we know on them. So we know that this person, Costello, is going to come on the call. He's a CFO of, let's say, Puma. But guess what? CFO, I'm sorry, guess what? Christelle was a financial director for France at Adidas or at Hugo Boss, right? So we're like, okay, hang on, Hugo Boss actually is our customer, for example. So what that means is we can definitely use that to leverage in our discussion, right? Because we can say we know that you worked at,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you just find this out from LinkedIn. It's not hard. Just you check LinkedIn and you can get other information, right? So that's kind of the things we do internally. It's a lot more work to because the call is going to be 30 minutes
Yeah.
with a prospective CFO or CEO. But obviously, 30 minutes of a CFO's time is precious. Like
Yeah.
to get them on the call for 30 minutes is like, oh my god. So you have to do a lot. It takes about even 4 or 5 hours to prepare for that 30-minute call. A lot goes into it. We obviously come up with like a nice presentation. We come up with like some kind of nice questions we want to find out. Do a lot of research on the company. That's one thing too. So before I go on every call, I spend about 4 hours doing research on the company. So yes, I know you're, Adidas, whatever. Yes, I know that Kanye West does nice shoes with you guys. That's all I know, right? That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking more for what's the company's mission, where they're growing, where are they based globally, what are the expansion goals, any kind of sound bites from the CEO, look at the annual reports, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we do to really understand. So, and obviously we manage the whole cycle
Yeah.
because as you can imagine, a big company that's speaks to people in different areas of the business. Obviously, we know about GDPR because Christelle and I were in Europe, so GDPR now is a big thing. We need to address that at some point. We need to address, contracts and all
Mm.
that kind of stuff. And so it's just basically managing the wholesale cycle. I can talk for the next 2 hours about it, but it's just about managing from obviously getting them on the call,
Okay.
doing the research around it, and obviously all the way to them um, looking to sign a contract, and then after that, the hypercare and everything that follows with that.
Okay, okay. So you mentioned working with the teams, but do you work solo on your own accounts or do you manage a team? And
So,
regarding this, what is your concept of management? It's really interesting, this point.
okay, so my old job, I was definitely a manager. I
Mm-hmm.
had a team, and hired a team, and that actually really, really made me understand management a lot better. I've done some of these um, podcast shows, and I've actually talked about management and how I learned from, being a very young guy at the time. I was 24, 25, or whatever I was, and I was hiring people who were double my age. So it was really, really important, and it was a privilege for me to be in that position
Mm-hmm.
to really embrace, the culture of, it doesn't matter where you are. It's about, your rank and reporting to XYZ and obviously metrics measuring and all that kind of stuff, right? So my current job, I don't really manage anybody. I just have people working with me, I would say. So it's not
Okay.
more like they're working for me because they don't report to me, but they work with me. So I'll be
Okay.
like, can you help me do this? So my old job, obviously, I have people working for me, but this job is more, yeah, more like they would definitely assist me, because in a way, the way it's done is such that my numbers goes against their numbers. So it's like we're working as a team, but I'm the lead.
Okay.
So I have like two guys in India, and I have one person in London who's like the technical, another one in India who's like the overall, and another technical in India. But I'm the lead. So every single call, every single email, whatever, I'm the one writing, I'm the one leading it. but then they would always chip in to support me as the lead. Um, I know you asked a question around management and what I think about
Yeah,
it.
and then so regarding this, I will be more even focused on how do you handle the multiculturalism,
Yeah,
working with different people
different
in
cultures. Yeah,
different places.
um, that's a very good question. And my current job, I'm actually having to really, really deal with that on a daily basis
Mhm.
because I work with India every single day. I, I work with Amsterdam as well every single day. I work with the US. So these are kind of our main offices, and we actually I have at least one or two interactions with these countries at least every 2 days. So, for example, the Dutch people are very direct, right? They'll be like, "Tell me what I want to know now," and they have no problem saying that, right? Americans are a bit more chatty. Americans are a bit more, how you doing? How you doing? That's Americans, right? Indians are a bit in the middle, I think, kind of like in the middle. You can be direct, but you can also chat to them. And Indians like to feel like you understand them and you're with them. So I always kind of joke that I'm like half Indian and all that kind of stuff. So because I actually have an Indian name, so I actually kind of joke about things that I was like, oh okay. So they kind of warm to you because obviously Indians are very. It's like a whole continent, right? 1 billion people. So it actually makes more sense to actually kind of speak their own language so they can buy into you better. Of course, at the end of the day, it's work, right? It's not like you need to be kissing anybody's backside to be um, professional. You can be professional, and maybe I don't like you, but that's not the point here. The point here is you can just take some time to go out of your way to try and get them to be on your side, not just because they work with you, but because you could think they could be like your friend. And I think that really makes a huge difference for me personally. And that's why, like you said, I could get 4 promotions in 6, 7 years because, when they say, should we promote Sema? They're like, yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. Because people like you. It's not just, yeah, the numbers are good. Of course, you're going to get promoted because you're good, but it's also because people like you, right? So I think that's really important. And I think people miss that trick. So when they say to you, let's go out for drinks, you know, the English people, for example, British people are very, very, they like to go for drinks after work. It's just a very British thing. If you're not really a drinker, you can still go. You can just maybe have water. Doesn't matter. The whole point is just to fit in and make them feel like you're one of them. That's one thing that I think we Africans struggle with generally. We come in and we come abroad or whatever, and we
Yeah.
still want to be in Cameroon or in Cote d'Ivoire. It's like, and I think we should kind of, because we're now in a foreign land, yes, we are now part of the land. Yes, we're not French, we're not British, whatever. But the whole point is that you should understand that you're in a place where you're the minority.
Mhm.
The majority of people, 90, well, 90, how many percent of obviously our typical white Caucasian, people, right? So it's not saying you should not be not yourself. The whole point is just so there's times where you have to be in their position, in their shoes, so just to get what you want. It's not gonna hurt you to have 30 minutes drinking with some friends, or going to your friends, whatever, or going to your friends' daughters, colleagues' daughters, I don't know, school thing. Doesn't I mean if you're free, why not? It helps with
Yeah.
that relationship building outside work, right? And you become like a trusted partner, not just in the sense of a colleague that you can rely on, but also a friend. I've made loads of friends from every single role I've been in, and I have colleagues that literally are. I've made some friends for life. One of my very best friends, a lot of people that follow me, is actually someone I used to work with. I've taken him to my home country about 4 or 5 times. So the whole point is like you need to almost like, these are people too who are looking for people like you to be friends with, but we come and block ourselves, and we just want to go to 9 to 5, after 5 o'clock, go back home. You
Yeah.
don't ask people how they're doing, about their families and all that kind of stuff. And I think we could do better at that. So that makes you a good manager. So I think management is two ways, right? With the culture thing. So that's the culture thing. I think that's how you can address the whole culture
Mhm.
thing. And like I said, I deal with Amsterdam, India, different offices, and I kind of know how to manage each one because they're different, right? But I think for management, there's two main things. So I think there's what we call man management. So I'm trying to get the best out of you, Christelle. So all I'm going to do now is I'll keep making sure that I can get the best out of you. Keep, kind of just
You're hell of a
poking
save.
you to get the best, right? To get the best out of you so you can do well in your job, right? And then there's what you call more the hands-on manager, where it's like, what you're doing, how's things going, almost like holding your hand to the journey. So this are kind of the two ways I think that people tend to manage. Where it's like, I'm a good man manager. I'll keep motivating you, encouraging you, coaching you. And then there's the other one where it's like, where are you now? What are you doing? You need to do this. You need to do that. And I think those who have a blend of both are the best managers. And I think that's where I noticed this really early, and that helped my management style. Because if, for example, you give someone a deadline to do a report by says close of play
Mhm.
on the following week, for example, same time next week, and if not done it, you can almost you don't go like you don't do that. You
Yeah,
do
what
something
feedback? Yeah, the feedback point is
so
really
you do something more like so. What, just so you know, I don't think obviously because I'm your manager, I don't really tell you a lot about what I do as well. So I report to the sales director, who obviously reports to the CEO, and obviously the report I asked you to do is very important because that helps me compile a team report that gets circulated in the quarterly business reviews where the CEOs and the board reviews that, right?
important.
So think of your job as your own little business, right? So think of your role as like your little business, right?
Mhm.
And I know obviously it's not your physical business, but just think of it as a business. And if suppliers don't come and deliver goods today, there's no food in the shops, right? So think of it like that. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like you don't you almost kind of coach them. You get them to see things a bit differently, because people come to work and they just think that obviously I'm just here because it pays my bills.
Mhm.
Even if they enjoy the job, they don't really understand the ins and outs, the nitty gritties of the job. So when you explain it like that, like I need the report by this day because the actual deadline is actually 2 days later. Because that gives me 2 days to compile everybody's report and produce one report, and then give it to the sales director, who
Yeah,
then can then present it in the board meetings, right? So when you say it like that, they now understand every single time that okay, now this is really important now because my boss wants this because it's part of a much bigger
exactly. Much
report.
bigger picture. Yeah,
Exactly. So when people started obviously like, okay, thanks. I didn't really see. I'm sorry about that. Obviously, they'll apologize and whatever, but they now start seeing it differently, and of course, they always give it. They'll start giving it a day or two early now because they know what the importance of that is. So that's a management style that people, don't really, really tend to do, especially people from an African background like we are. We tend to be more disciplinarian,
yeah,
whereas like everything is like you just give out this day, but if not, what? You're gonna fire me? That's
ex-
not the point. So if you fire them, how have you as a manager contributed to their growth?
yeah. I
The whole
fully
point is
agree.
you get people on board and they should evolve in their professional development, and you should, as a manager, should are a huge part to play in that. Not yet with hiring and firing people. So it's just about there's lots of courses on management, lots of online talk shows on management. So I'm sure people can go on YouTube and find them. But I think this too definitely would help.
It's great to have your insight and with example, concrete
Yeah,
example. It's really interesting.
no worries.
Moving on to I like still to keep on the industry because I
Okay.
really want the people to be able to get into your shoes one day if they want to.
Yeah, sure.
And something is about the academic background and skill required to tap into the industry.
What into my industry, like the payment stroke,
Yeah, exactly.
treasury stroke.
For example, for some, you can just go to the uni and have a degree, and that's it. That's it. For some, you can kind of need, for example, in finance, the CFA is the best things to tap into the market, and no one
Correct.
will discuss your skills. So, is there anything like that, or it's more like a build on regarding what you want to do or what you are your
I
skills?
think for I can again I speak specifically for what I like you said I studied accounting, right? But
Yeah,
I just felt like just not for me. I just thought it doesn't really align with my strengths, even though I was very good at accounting. But I just thought my strongest strength is in being front office, so like selling and being in front of the clients and trying to get them to do something. So the reason I made that point is because I think it just depends on your strengths, on like what you're really good at and what you kind of see yourself really doing. Because what I do, of course, if you've done an accounting, finance, business, economics degree, that helps a lot because you understand how companies make, obviously what the balance sheet means. You understand how you can read reports. You understand how what my DSO, like you mentioned at the start of the show. That this degrees go into detail about these different things, so it's a huge thing. However, I would be honest and say that you don't need to have a you don't even need to have a degree to do what
Oh,
I do. If I'm being honest, because what I do is one of those things that, like I've given you the example of if you're gonna make a payment online
exactly.
and the different steps, right?
Mhm.
You don't need to go to school to do that.
And is there any course in schools teaching this type of
No,
thing? Not at
there's no course
That's my
anywhere
point.
that teaches this, right? Only we in the industry know these things.
Mhm.
The reason I'm saying this is because there's this thing where people want to, like, go to the best school in the world, whatever, whatever. That's absolutely, I encourage everybody to do it. However, you just start thinking about what you really want to do. Like,
Mhm.
are you just going to school because you want a reputation that you went to a big school, or are you going to school because you want to be in the best possible chance to succeed, or are you going to school just because your parents said you got to go to school? So you got to start thinking about it in that sense, right? Because some of these things we do, and I can speak for a lot of people in my industry, and a lot of people I've met in my industry by just being doing what I do. So and at my old job, especially, I used to meet a year. I meet about 100 new people face to face. As in one-on-one meetings, I'll have about 100 meetings or so easily a year at my old job. So you don't really need the biggest degrees. If you're in accounting, yes, that makes the difference, right? Because you need to have your ACCAs and your CPAs and your CMAs. That's fine. But in terms of just being in a job where you're kind of using your strength and all that, I don't think it's there's people who studied law and they're now doing business. People who studied finance and they're now doing law. So it doesn't really matter. It's all about you and your mindset. Because
Sure,
if you're very adaptable, if you're very very coachable, if you're very very inquisitive, like as you like to read, I think you can do anything. I think you
sure.
can. I can go do law now if I want to do law. It's just about wanting to do it. And if you've got the mindset of like, I'll put my mind to something and I'll do it, then you can do anything you want. So my point is, even if you're studying engineering right now, there's nothing stopping you from doing what I do or doing what Christelle does. Nothing. People make money off YouTube than people who do balance sheets here and there. So if you see what I mean. So the point is, like, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Just think about where you wanna go, and think about your strengths and how you can use your strengths to really really maximize your potential. If you're a good talker, then be in a job where you talk more, right? If you're a good writer, be in a job where you're writing a lot more.
Mhm.
If you're a good analytics person, you're very good at analyzing every single detail. Be in analyst jobs like finance analyst, be investigative journalist, whatever it is. You can. That's your strength, right?
Yeah.
And for those who are really young and obviously thinking about where they want to go, I'm not sure. I'm at
Mhm.
university, you step Kuala, you can then start thinking about these things. Like, okay, I want to, but I'm really good at this, right? So I probably should look at roles around this, and that's what I did. And that's what I didn't do. I'm not doing accounting today, even though I have a degree in accounting, because I thought that it doesn't really bring out my biggest strengths.
Yeah.
And I would never have had all these promotions and all this time if I did accounting. I don't think so. No chance.
Thank you very much for sharing. So it's really what I keep saying to people in the activity. So thank you very much. Like it's really
Sure.
inspiring, really. Wow. And it's just it will be the last question on your
Hmm.
industry and position before to really dive into the mindset side.
Uh-huh.
I like just out of curiosity, what are the constraints that you have not anticipated, and how do you manage it in your career and your position actually?
For me, the biggest one, without a doubt, I'm sure everyone is thinking I'm going to say racism. No, it's not that. It's not even that at all.
We will come to that later on.
That it's not. It's definitely not that. Definitely not that. It's not even that. But I know because many people, when I have this conversation, they always think, "Yeah, do you get to deal with racism a lot?" No, no, I don't.
I'm talking
Um,
the framework of the position. The position, huh?
sorry.
In the framework of the position.
Yeah. So in the frame of actually what I do, my job, and actually being successful, like, does it play a part? 1% racism, maybe. No
Mhm.
more than that. So, and I can talk about that maybe in another video or whatever. But
No, we
so
will
in terms
come
of
to the racism part. No worries. Also,
okay, good. So in terms of my role, I think the biggest thing for me was my age.
really,
Yeah, because I was very young. So when I started, when I was made, for example, when I was made business development manager field, I was 24 at the time, 23, 24, and I was going out because when you're on the phone, it doesn't matter how old you are, because you could sound really, really clever, you could sound really, really like you know what you're talking about, and I could think, wow, this person they've got like 15 years experience. But when you go physically and they see you, they're like, yeah, this is a boy. Do you know what I mean? Because I meet people, most of the people I meet are like finance managers, CFOs, finance directors, people of that sort. So these are people who is usually like 40s, 50s sometimes, people who are like my old enough to be my parents, right?
Mhm.
So the challenge I kind of face sometimes is that, yes, you sound like you know what you're talking about, but get out of here. Almost like you don't know what you're talking about. Like, in a way, it's almost like, not like get out of here, but it's more in the sense of like, who are you to come and telling me how to run my business?
Wow.
You've only got, you're very young. And it's a natural thing. It's a very natural thing. If I'm 40, 50, and some 22, 24, 5-year-old person was coming to tell me that a system I implemented isn't really that good, I'm like, I get on the defensive, right?
Yeah.
Because kind of what I do is we basically look at problems and we use technologies to solve the problems.
Mhm.
So if you think of you, Krista, so Krista, you've implemented a system at your company. You're the one who basically, as a CFO, is a finance system that does everything finance. And then a 24-year-old person comes in and says, "It's a good system, but it's got a lot of limitations. I think we need to improve it." It's a very, very tactical skill to be able to say this thing is not so good, and we need to help, and we can help you, because they normally go on the defensive, and because you're young, they can use that against you. Like, almost like you don't know what you're talking about. Do you know that? Do you
And
understand? So,
how did you manage it every time
so for
that?
me personally, like I just set myself that at the start, when I obviously naturally I was young and I was very still growing in my role. It really bothered me because I felt like I knew what I was talking about. I felt like I had value to offer.
Mhm.
But after like couple of months, 2 3 months, I was like, no, you got to think of it in the sense of like, at the end of the day, a solution is a solution, right? It doesn't matter who delivers a solution. You could be who was Time Person of the Year last year in 2019. Is a 17-year-old girl who campaigned for climate change.
Yeah.
Grentel, whatever her name is, right? The point I'm trying to make is that it's not about that. That's the message she delivered. Could have been delivered by a 57-year-old person, but it was delivered by her, 17-year-old at the time. And that's how I saw it. I saw it like, ignore the BS, ignore all that stuff, focus on the message, and they will respect you if you want to stick to doing your job.
Yeah.
That's what worked
Fully
for me.
agree with you.
And because naturally people would tell, again, it's about mental toughness as well. I think that's a big part. If you're mentally strong and you say that, I'm here to give you a solution, and if you don't get this solution, that's how I thought anyway. If you don't want to listen to me, you're losing out. If you don't want to listen to what I'm going to say to you right now, Mr. CFO, then you're going to miss out.
Or
That's the
Mr. or
mindset I
Mrs.
have.
CFO.
Sorry?
Mr. or Mrs. CFO.
Yeah, Mr. or Mrs. CFO, whatever, right? The whole point is like, you're missing out if you don't want to listen to what I'm going to say. And even what, so if and obviously you go to meetings, some meetings are really, really good. Some are like, yeah, but we're not interested. I'm like, okay, fine. You've just missed out on me saving you X for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So it really, really helped me navigate through that challenge. But it was a real challenge, yeah, at the start.
Wow, I can imagine. But it's a perfect transition to go through the mindset part. I really enjoyed this part, and you have a lot to offer. Like, really, thank you. So, really want to know, what is your mindset and vision in regards to your career? Like, really, what is the essence of that? And simply, why are you a so hardworking professional?
Yeah, thanks for the compliments. Thank you. The main thing is, in terms of your career,
Mhm.
you need to own your career. I said that to everybody. You
Yeah.
need to own it, because your dad or your mom could pay for they could send you to good school, whatever, whatever. You're the one who needs to go to class, do your revision, write the exams, and pass it. And then, even if your dad and moms, because people are like, oh well, some people have good jobs because their parents just put them there. Well, I'm sorry, but they still have to go do the work. So even if your mom or your dad knows a friend and you get a job from that,
Mhm.
you still need to go there and prove that you're good.
Yeah.
If not, you could actually affect your dad's relationship, your dad, your mom, whoever's relationship with that person, right? Because they'll be like, I know it's your son or your nephew or your niece or your cousin, whatever. However, you've actually, I don't appreciate that because you're not looking for really hardworking people. So in a way, you could actually put your parents in a more difficult position. So one is you're gonna own your career. Your career is entirely into your hands. If you want to sit down and relax and not do nothing about it, and just go to school and come out of it with a degree, fine. If you want to go to school, come out with a degree after having learned a lot of skills, met lots of people, done lots of networking, attended lots of career fairs, um, you know, spoken to elderly people, understand what PhD people do. That obviously is you, because
Mhm.
there's nothing on the school specification of your course that says you need to do all those things. But by doing all those things, you become a more rounded academic person, a more rounded professional,
Yeah.
right? And that's the biggest thing which I think we lack in soft skills. A lot of soft skills which actually make people progress. You could be the best IT person, you could be really, really good at what you do, but people promote people,
Yeah.
right? So I will be the one to promote you, you will be the one to promote X, he will promote, and so on and so forth, right? So at the end of the day, people also promote who they like. People promote people who fits in. People promote people who you know have other skills that could match the role. It's not just about your numbers. It's not just about the fact that Christelle is always on time. She always does this. Yes, that's really important. But it's about the fact that when we give Christelle work, she actually would do all the work, give it to us a day early, and ask us if she can do more work for us.
Mhm.
It's about the fact that Christelle does, or whoever, like, who I'm just using your name because of us we want to call, but whoever does the work actually references where they've had the findings from, like the data and the summaries from, and actually does a lot more than they had to do.
Mhm.
That's what gets people to see you as a unique person, because anybody can do that work you've just done, but it's about how do you stand out. So my point is, in your career, if you want to really progress, so think of a pyramid, right? So a pyramid is flat at the bottom, then it goes like this, right?
Mhm.
So the bottom here is there's a lot of people. There's so many people. As you keep going up, there's only a very few people here. So there's only one CFO, there's only one CEO, but there can be many, many finance managers, many finance assistants, and as you just keep going down, right? And as you enter a company, you have the entry level here, then all the way to the top. If you want to really progress to the top, you have to just really own it, and you have to
And
embrace everything around your career. It's not just about delivering your job. It's about those other skills that could really morph you into that person that you need to become, because you need to become unique. That's the key point. What makes you stand out from everyone?
in your case, what makes you stand out from everyone? What is your
Um,
vision?
I can't really answer. I would hope that maybe people I've worked with or people I know would answer this for me, but I don't really know what the specific answer to that is. I just think that obviously hardworking, but then again, most people are hardworking, right? I think that's just because I really just want to, when I'm into anything, I really, really try to give it 110%. And I just want to, like, grow. And I think the fact that I'm a very people's person helps as well. Like, I can interact with anybody, any race, any culture. I think that's a big thing. I think that really, really helps because, as we all know, France, UK, America, there's Filipinos, there's Chinese, there's Indians, there's all sorts of people, right? And these are people who could be hiring you. So I think the ability to be able to interact with all these different cultures is a really big plus to have, and many Africans I know for a fact don't have that. So
Yeah.
that makes you really stand out for sure.
Okay. And what is your, if I may ask, and you don't have to, but what is your final end goals? Like, where are you going in terms
Um,
of?
but I mean, personally, like, people who most of my very close friends and some of my career counterparts know that I want to set up my own fintech in Africa.
Mhm.
I think Africa is the next China. Africa is the next oil. Like how oil was the big thing. Oil
Yeah,
is now moving apart. So now it's data. So data is the next oil, and I think Africa plus data is the perfect place, right?
yeah,
So
completely.
China was the place, from the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, China was the booming, place. So I guess you can actually argue India. Um, and then obviously China is kind of like peaked now. And then China is obviously still very big, strong economy, but, they started dropping a little bit, but it's still very high up there. Africa is just keeps doing that. So if you think about like, that countries in Africa that grow 10, 12% a year,
Yeah, the
you know,
growth, yeah, keeping growing, yeah.
lots of countries in Africa. Africa as an economy, I think the last time I checked, grows about 4% or so a year. So the point I'm trying to make is that in Europe, UK grows 0.2% a quarter,
Yeah,
0.4% a year, right? So you got to think about that is the next place. So like I said, oil was the thing. Now is data.
yeah.
China, India, all these countries were the thing. Now it's Africa.
Hmm.
So combination of data plus Africa means that your potential is limitless. So I
Completely.
want to set up. I would like to be part of an organization or a set up myself that does fintech because fintech is all about data and basically tech and all that kind of stuff. A fintech in Africa. That would be one of my definitely something I like to do. And I do some things on the side that kind of coincide directly with these goals. So for example, over the last 2.5 years actually. So working at the time to kind of like look for economies that could have helped, could have been um, found a lot of value in a private blockchain.
Okay. Wow.
Obviously, blockchain is a big thing
Sure.
in our industry. So blockchain, for example, is something which some African markets can really take advantage of. And as part of the consultancy work I've been doing on the side, it's about identifying what economies could benefit from that. I
Mm.
cannot disclose a lot of stuff on here, but yeah, but it's that kind of stuff which I'm talking about where you're going in because as an African, I'm a Pan African. I believe in Africa and I believe in the potential. I think that we can always collaborate with all the expertise we have here
Mhm.
and all over the world, and everyone gets a little cut from developing Africa and turning Africa into this mega house that would spiral all the growth for pretty much a continent that 60% plus is under 30. So we basically have to kind of give them the tools to be able to live in a very very strong economy and obviously build for our generations to come.
Oh, no, this is a fantastic project. Just hit me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, inshallah, we'll see. I'm praying that
We're
everything goes
connected.
well. But yes, of course, I'll definitely. I know you've done some work in Africa, so I think we
Yeah.
could definitely use all that expertise. And
No, but
like what you going to Africa and obviously doing what you did, working with some banks out there in Africa. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because now the disadvantage I actually don't have is that I've actually not worked in Africa in that sense. You have worked in Africa, right? So w- all I need to do is just work, have someone in the team that's worked in Africa who knows the actual challenges faced, and that's basically what it is, right? And the African mindset sometimes is to be too inclusive, like you kind of keep everything inside.
mhm.
There's no harm bringing someone in, maybe giving them some equity even, and they could just be giving you different insights that you never thought about. And it's all about the bigger picture, right? It's not
Exactly.
about keeping money to yourself or whatever. And I think that's the mindset we need to have to progress Africa. Don't think about yourself, think about everything else.
Yeah, and the continent, like to
Correct.
promote intra development
Intra development, yep.
between countries.
Yes, absolutely.
No, no, no. I can only agree with what you've been saying completely. And thank you for, I mean, to provide tips and advice like that. And thank you
Sure,
very
of
much.
course. Anytime.
So now moving on. Um, I like to know how important is that to you? How important is to you to keep learning new skills?
I think for me personally, like when I was very young, so this is about 10 years ago, when I just kind of was at university, I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be. I said that I wanted to be the most rounded person I know.
Hmm.
So everybody that I know in my circles, I want to be the most rounded person. So if you want to talk about politics, I can discuss it. If you want to talk about finance, I can discuss it. Economics, health. science, whatever, right? I could be able to discuss it. And that's just something which personally I think, because it fitted into my goal of integrating with any cultures.
Yeah.
Because if they're talking about and integrating with just people in general, because if they want to talk about religion, we can talk about it. You know, I'm Christian, for example, but I know what Hinduism is. I know what Buddhism is. I know what being Jewish means, right? I don't know the ins and outs of it because I'm not that religion, but at least I can be in a conversation about it. So that's what I'm trying to say, right? So if you're with Indians and most of them are Hindus, or you're working with Pakistanis and most of them are Muslims,
Hmm.
you don't need to be a Muslim to have a conversation with them, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that helps. If you think about, because it counts for nothing if you want to have, if you have a goal and you're not doing things to work towards that goal. So my goal is to be very rounded. So what I'm doing is I'm reading, I'm researching, I watch documentaries to understand the history, to understand different things about different cultures. So that when I get to when I go to meeting, like I said, a couple of years ago, I used to have about 100 meetings a year, physical meetings all over the UK and some Ireland as well. It's like, so what does that mean? That I'm going to meet all sorts of people. Right? I'm going to meet people from different backgrounds, people who obviously see life a bit differently, and I can still have a conversation about anything with them. I think that is something which I think it makes a huge difference because people can relate to you. Because think about it for a second, right? If I came to talk to you, let's say, for example, your son or your daughter goes to a school
Yeah.
in the neighborhood, right? And then I'm like, oh my god, guess what? My nephew goes to that same school. Whether that's true or not, that's not the point. The point is, they're like, oh my god, really? And that gets them to feel like, oh, that God. So everyone's got God, right? The God just kind of goes down. It's like, oh, I can relate to this person now because we now have a family member in the same school,
Hmm.
right? That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I know it's a skill, knowing how to converse and other people's skills. I get that, but all I'm saying is like just reading and being a bit more inquisitive in your life, just asking questions like, so what does it really mean? Like, what? So when you guys actually pray, like, what does it actually mean? When you guys do this, like, is that does that really bother you guys? Does that really bother you? Are you guys doing this because of the history? What's actually the history behind this? All those kind of things that help you become this rounded person. And honestly, like, that is, people would hire people, people would advance sign contracts with people, not in offices, in golf clubs, in coffee shops, in that's where the decision is made. They may physically sign in the office, but the decision is made somewhere else. That's what we always. That's why, as you notice, obviously in this kind of industry we're in, we take clients out to dinners, take clients out to, like, games and all, like, bowling games. We took some of our clients to Mercedes Benz World. It's that's where they make the decision. They're like, yeah, these guys are really cool. I really like them. I think I see myself working with these guys for the next 5 years. So I'm gonna go to the office tomorrow and sign. But if you don't have that skill of being able to interact and talk
And
about
connect
different
with
things.
people.
Absolutely, and I think back to my challenge on the age thing. That was big for me because obviously, as a young person interacting with 40, 50-year-old people on a day-to-day basis, I had to almost kind of like draw myself
Yeah.
into that kind of space. So when I talk about the kids, obviously I haven't got any kids at the moment, but I'll talk about my nephews, my nieces, my cousins. This is what I mean. So it's almost like, yes, I don't have a kid, but I understand what you're going. I understand what you're saying because my cousin is going through the same thing at school, for example, or going through
Yeah.
whatever, right? And then they're like, "Oh, okay, really?" So in a way, it almost like makes you put you guys on the same level in a way because you now have something which you can all talk about freely. If they want to talk about jokes from 1970, okay, maybe I'm not gonna know that, but just hanging around these people, you're gonna pick on one or two of them, and then you will just understand it. The whole point is just kind of fitting into their circle, making them feel more comfortable because they will be the ones buying, and fundamentally they want to have some comfort in you and in your solution. Okay, your solution is good. Whatever you're looking to sell is good, but the people buy from people. I buy because I like this guy. I buy because I like, That's why celebrities, even if they release fragrances or whatever that are not very nice, people still buy it because they're buying the person because it's David Beckham's perfume or Rihanna's perfume, right? Even if it's not great, but because it's hers, she's got a following, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, think of yourself as like a celebrity in your job, and make yourself want to be that celebrity in your job. where people will come and buy from you. People will come and want to work with you. People want to collaborate with you. And if you're a celebrity in your own job, it's all mental, right? If you think of yourself as you want to be a celebrity in your job, then you're gonna really go far.
So, may I say that to you, is it a key for career advancement in the corporate world?
I think for me, it's just having really, obviously, really been hardworking, really delivering on what you have to do. Give 105%. I think is really important, especially if you're not white. If I'm
Yeah.
being honest, I think you have to give 105%. Just because that's where we live in. Nothing we can do about it. You can complain all you want, but that's just you just need to give a bit more.
Mhm.
Because as you keep going up the ladder, you find less and less minorities. So you need to obviously be outstanding. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
because majority of people are going to be like your white counterparts, right? So you have to be really outstanding because by default we less people by population, and obviously we don't have necessarily all the things around us that will obviously take us to the highest position. I mean, think about it. There was well, he's no longer the CEO. We had only one black CEO of the Fortune 200.
Yeah.
He was at Credit Suisse, and now
Oh, yeah, he's not. He's left now.
he's
Tiam, I can't
yeah,
remember
the
this.
Ivorian guy. So right now we actually don't have any
Yeah.
black CEO in a Fortune 200 or Fortune whatever it is.
For
So
now, for
for
now.
now, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, those as you keep going to the top is very hard. So you
Mhm.
gotta be really like unique. You gotta really stand out because you're competing against people who obviously are your white counterparts. So you gotta really, really think about you giving 110%. So
Mhm.
doing a report is not enough. Do a report plus add extra stuff to it. If I want to, do a presentation, I'll prepare a presentation for my boss. I'll do all the slides and everything, and then I'm gonna give him supporting material to help him while he's presenting. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That's what gets you. That's what makes you unique, because they'll hire you because they know that they can count on you to facilitate the job of your boss, not because you can do presentations. Because everyone can do that. It's about doing
Yeah,
extra
I
5%.
agree with you. But for instance, because we've been said when we were raised, we've been said we've heard you have because you're black in the corporate world, you will have to work twice or three times harder than others. But what I've been saying is like it's true that you have to do so, but do it for you and in the sense of as you've been saying, owning your career.
Yeah.
That's mean that what really I advise, because I really want to be clear on this point and regarding my view of this point is that you need to work hard for yourself, for your own career, owning your own career. And if you're not valued as much as you deserve to be valued by the company,
Yep.
you need you're not tied to the company. You have to leave. If you're not valued, you have no hope of on staying in the job and in the company. And if they don't want you, and if they don't believe in you and don't show you career advancement or and so on, or even salaries, bonus or whatsoever, I mean, like, but this is
Yeah. Sure. It's
the
a good point. Like
only
it's
point that I wanted to
yeah.
mention on this, because it's really important, because sometimes you can see in companies people are really working hard without being valued, but because company knows that whatever they paid or whatever the title they have, they will keep
They
working
will keep
and
working. Yep.
and stay because they're tied to the
I had some challenges around that, of course. But then again, you got to think of think of yourself in a tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You're gonna have some challenges like this. You may feel undervalued. You may feel underpaid. You may feel underappreciated. That's absolutely fine. People actually appreciate you. They may just not tell you, or they may just not tell you in terms of your pay or or your accolades. But trust me, like at some point, if you're really really doing the work, people are seeing it. That's my view. People know that this person is XYZ. And sometimes it takes longer, but if it's obviously whatever again, it depends on what you want to do or what your plans are and stuff. If you've got a 5 year goal and you're at a company for 5 years and you've not really seen any growth, of course, maybe you should take a different turn. But if it's something where you can see that there's definitely progress and you're having conversations with your line manager and things are going really well,
exactly.
then maybe you could align that towards your long term goals or whatever your goals may be. So yeah, just to cap what you said, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know because you mentioned about one of the key challenge of the major challenges in your career was your age and the difference of age with between you, your colleagues, and the client. But I really want to know, as a Cameroonian, what was the major challenge, career challenge?
Um, I think, as you can probably imagine, growing up in Cameroon, pretty much everything, my foundation and everything about me is Cameroon.
Hmm.
Yes, I'm pretty much here now, been here for a while now, but fundamentally I'm a Cameroonian. So there are loads of things that I had to adapt to at the start. Because think about it, you come from Cameroon, you go straight to university, you hang out with other international students and other, British students, whatever. Everyone's a student, right? They themselves don't even know what they want or what they're doing per se. Then you get into that mindset of you finish university now, you start working,
Hmm.
and that's the first time you really, really get to experience this. So all you know pretty much is Cameroon. So
Yeah.
as a Cameroonian, the challenge was like, wow, like things are done a bit differently. In Cameroon, everything is slow. You know, everything in Cameroon is, Cameroon is, of course, is a very, it's not the most straightforward system, right? So you come to a system where it's like, oh my God, you got to step up.
Mhm.
It's not normal to come late.
Yeah.
It's not normal to deliver your reports late or whatever it is, right? It's not, and then obviously for us, it's like it's things like just etiquette, as we call it.
Yeah.
Just work decorum, learning how to work, in an environment with people. I didn't learn that in Cameroon. There's no way that Cameroon would have taught me that, because in Cameroon, like, not disrespect, but it's just not the same. In Cameroon, Cameroon can be a bit more laissez-faire. Here it's a bit more, you gotta be really in a work environment and you gotta embrace that corporate environment, especially when you start getting to the top. People start, seeing things a bit differently. So all I'll say is like, yes, there was some challenges me being a Cameroonian because obviously it's just two different cultures, just really, really different in terms of how things are done and how we report. In Cameroon, for example, I now understood that, do you know what, I actually have the authority to be able to challenge my manager. In
Yeah. Yeah.
Cameroon,
Point
for
as well.
example, maybe that may end up you being sacked, or you maybe be getting no new contracts and new projects, right? But here, like, you understand the importance of actually, being able to have a conversation with your boss because obviously here it's a different culture, right? They respect employee rights and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit different, like, so that actually was a big difference for me. Like, I can actually tell my manager that, I think, maybe this could have been handled differently because, because this is probably how I am, or maybe I didn't do this way because of X, Y, Z, and yeah, you can have that kind of conversation. But I feel like Cameroon is very, very disciplinarian, or it may be very, very authoritative. So I think that's one of the big challenges, which not challenge, but one of the things that I had to kind of adapt to, that you can actually not just sit back and just hold back, but you can actually proactively take control of your own self. And I think that we as young people who want to obviously move back to Cameroon at some point or whatever and develop the nation, we're gonna start really, really taking this mindset we have from here, because that's the biggest thing I feel that we kind of like struggle with. Like, we obviously are out here, we behave, we follow the rules and regulations here, and then once we land into Yaoundé or Douala, we just kind of wear the Cameroon hat again, and we just start acting like a typical Cameroonian. We need to kind of set the example that we've coming from abroad, come from Europe, where things are done a certain way. We need to kind of follow that way and obviously show that that we can actually make a difference by just having you know the right bureaucracies, the right policies in place, people coming on time, people respecting protocols and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Adding value to the culture.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're still original, you're still Cameroonian. I'm not running
Yeah.
away from that. But at the same time, you can obviously flex and add. You can become a Cameroonian now with some kind of added benefits,
Hmm.
and makes your CV a lot stronger.
Completely. I fully agree. I'd like to know if you struggle in your career in terms of racism or not.
In terms of
Racism because of your skin color.
racism, um,
Racism.
if I'm being honest with you, like, not really. No. Again, and I think that many people are gonna like roll their eyes and look in the air. Like, I personally have not really experienced racism.
No, but at least one. I'm happy that.
Yeah, yeah, because for me, like, like I said, for me, the biggest thing is like when you put yourself in their shoes, they'll have no reason to look at you differently than them. If that makes so, like if like I said to you, when if you and I have okay, let's say for example, you go into a meeting, I'm like, oh, are you into football? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just be asking the CFO, like just maybe on the street, or maybe like after the meeting, or maybe even before we start the meeting. Let's say I'm waiting for the CFO, and then I'm talking to the FD who is in the meeting with me, and we're just having a little chit chat. I'm like, oh, are you into football at all? He's like, yes, he supports Liverpool. I'm like, oh my goodness me. Or it's supposed Chelsea, right, which is the team I support. I'm like, guess what? I'm a big Chelsea fan too, right? And then we start talking about Chelsea. In fact, most times even some meetings we actually spend half the meeting talking about things not to do with the meeting,
Yeah.
talking about things that are just irrelevant, football, sports, whatever, right? And because when you do things like that, they would have no reason to look at you differently because now we both see ourselves as Chelsea fans, as sports people, right? And I think it's just again part of having that rounded mindset, right? Where I want to be as rounded as possible. I can talk about anything, even if you say a team that I don't support. I'll
Mhm.
be like, you know what? I don't really like that team, but you know what? They play really good football, and I'm like, of course they play. It's just the whole point is just to get you and them to on the same level. Even if I don't understand cricket, I've gone to meetings where I've had Indians and Pakistanis in the room as a CFO or whatever, and I'm like, listen, I don't understand cricket, right? But I've watched the cricket game, and wow, I just find it fascinating. Well, how about one day you take me out for drinks, or we go out for drinks, and you tell me more about cricket? You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's why would they ever want to be racist towards me?
Yeah.
Because in a way it's like just my point is just put people in, just kind of get into the shoes, get into the life in a way. And I'm not saying it doesn't eliminate it completely, but it takes away the chance of people obviously being racist to you.
Yeah.
I think that I get that you cannot, there's nothing much you can do about it, but just always try to put yourself in that shoe. And
Yeah.
maybe what I'm saying is maybe not the most popular opinion, but I that's just, I can only speak for myself, and I think that that would definitely help. It may not solve racism completely, but for you as a person and your goals, racism is going to be a generational problem. We're going to have racism for the next 100 years. So once you are where you are now, you only have control over what you have control of. I have no control over what he's
Exactly.
going to say back to me. All I can do is I'm going to make myself be in a place where we are literally on the same page almost on
Mhm.
everything. We want the same solution. We want the same outcome. So when a meeting, right, we both want the same outcome, want the same solution. I know exactly what your objectives are. I've actually written them down. Everything I'm saying is in line with all your objectives. And
Yeah.
guess what? We actually are quite similar. We
Mhm.
live in the same area. I know friends that potentially go to the same pub as you. We
Mhm.
support the same football team. Why would they want to discriminate against me?
Yeah. But
That's kind of what I'm
I
saying.
think that there are many things on it. First of all, you are in a English speaking environment and not a French
Correct.
one. So, and it does
Correct.
make a complete difference. And
Correct.
secondly, maybe, in the corporate world, to be, I mean, as you said, when you are going up and upper and upper in the pyramid, um, you have less and less minority, and you have as well less and less women, for example. And the conversation can go around sport. So, for example, I will just ask you, if you are a woman and not liking sport, how can you engage with people?
No,
As you,
it could be anything. It could be anything. So, for example, every woman obviously does makeup. Every woman does,
yeah, but if you're
fashion.
talking to a man world, I want to know for my ladies. I mean, let me recap.
Speaking as a let's say, okay, your question is, if you were obviously a black female in a very high position,
I
how
don't
will I
like
approach you, right?
football, and I don't like
You don't
sports
like
either.
sports. There's so many things people like. People like traveling. People like, you could, okay, for example, I'll be like, okay, so last week was a holiday, right? You could say, okay, well, somebody, oh, did you go anywhere nice? Did you go oh yeah, I traveled to Thailand, or I traveled to, I don't know, Bahamas or Brazil, whatever, right? I'm like, oh my god, where did you go? You're like, oh, I went to Phuket, or I went to Bangkok, right? I'm like, oh my god, guess what? I was in Bangkok and Phuket 2 years ago. I'm like, oh really? Oh, where did you stay? Oh, I stayed in this hotel, which is center town. Oh my god, guess what? I stayed in the hotel just on the same road.
All right.
That's it. The point is,
You're a
there's
salesman.
so many things. There's so many things you could talk about that gets you people to in the same position. And they'd be like, guess what? You know what? Once I tell you, we should actually have obviously we've got to focus on the meeting, right? Because I know you guys have got time. So maybe next time we should have drinks, and you tell me more about your poker experience, because I'm actually having this thing where I know someone who wants to understand a lot more around people's experiences in traveling,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's just random people. So I could do it actually learning about what you thought about your 2 weeks in Phuket or in Thailand or in Brazil or in India, wherever it is, and we could, that's okay. We can have a drink about that.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be anything. It
Old.
could be makeup. I've got a friend. She's huge on makeup. Like, your makeup really looks really good, for example.
Mhm.
And I tell you what, like, just the kind of makeup that she's very proud of doing. Why don't we take a selfie?
Yeah.
There's so many things. I can go on for the next
No,
one
no,
hour.
but I see that you have in your truck. I don't know. It's a friend. Tu en as plein.
It's a skill. It's a skill. I have to admit, it's a
No, no,
skill,
it's
but
a
you can
skill.
develop it.
Either you sell or not.
Yeah,
That's it.
you gotta develop it. Yeah, of course.
We are 3 questions away from the end of
Okay,
the
conscious of
interview.
time. So yep,
Yeah, yeah,
yep.
no,
So
but I really enjoy the conversation, and you're giving so much tips that I will apply straightforward.
that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of doing the session. Yep, yep. So go on.
So, how satisfied are you about your career path? And do you feel that you are achieving your vision, or at least you are being on the way?
I think I'm more. I think I'm on track, and I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. I'm very thankful to God to be in a position where I'm actually kind of where I want to be, and it kind of fits into what I'm looking to do. So in terms of my career, I really don't have any complaints per se. Of course, nothing is perfect, so I'm very mindful of that. Nothing is perfect, but I would just say that I think that I'm on track, and I want to keep learning and developing and maturing professionally and personally, to help me achieve all the things that, of course, everyone is looking to achieve for themselves.
Mhm. And regarding your side action and businesses, like, would you want to further business, or you will keep on in the corporate work, or just do both because it's
So I'm
possible
a
to do.
huge believer, massive believer of you need to have more than one source of income.
Oh yeah.
Massive believer. So you can obviously have your job, which is fine. But guess what? See what just happened with this pandemic,
Exactly.
right? If you only had your job, you're technically screwed. So I'm a huge believer of having multiple income streams. We are in 2020. There's so many things you can do to make money, right? If you have a house, so like my house, I put it on Airbnb when I'm not around. I
Yeah.
make extra two, three, £400 a month. It's not a lot of money, but that could pay for a flight for me to go to wherever, right?
Hmm.
You know, if you decide, you could do Uber on the weekends,
Yeah.
or you could do Uber on the evenings for 1 hour, 2 hours. So instead of even going for a jog or whatever, or doing whatever you want to do, you can say, you know what, for the next 2, 3 months, I'm just gonna sign up for Uber, and I'll Uber for 1 hour every week, and I'll Uber during the weekends. Maybe if you're a single person, no family, of course that's perfect. You can make extra several £800, euros, dollars, whatever it is per month, right? My point is, there's so many things you can do to generate extra income. If you're a good talker, start a YouTube page. Do
Yeah.
what you're doing. YouTube's gonna pay you when you get views. By the way, guys should subscribe, and people should subscribe to your page and all that, because
Thank you. Yes, subscribe to my page.
exactly, subscribe to her page, guys, because that
And comment, like, and share.
people make money. People nowadays are full time whatever they're doing, and they've got YouTube pages talking about wigs and haircuts and makeup
Mhm.
styles, and they're doing really well. And there's no limit as to what you can do nowadays, and that's what I'm saying. So I obviously have business things I do on the side. I've done lots of I was a trader at one point. I was just do
Yeah.
foreign financial markets trading, since trade like commodities, forex. I've kind of stopped them now because my job has taken over. But I've done a lot of things on the side because I'm a huge believer of you need to have more than one income stream. Huge
Which is
believer.
really important. I fully
Yeah.
agree with you. What does it really take to achieve an outstanding career as you have, like in terms of attitude, mindset, advancement, and sacrifice?
Positive mindset.
Positive mindset.
Positive mindset. If you're feeling undervalued, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not being appreciated, I'm being underpaid, no problem. Just be positive about it, because that's what's going to get you through. Because if I was somebody who was like, okay, racism or my age, ageism, all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff, I would have not been where I am, because I'd be like, oh, I went to a good meeting, I had a good presentation, and they just laughed me off. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this again, or I'm not gonna be as good anymore.
Did
No,
it ever happen?
well, I've had meetings where yeah, they just be like, okay, I'm not interested, you can go. Of course, not a lot. I'll say I can count the number of them, my hundreds of meetings, but yeah, you have some meetings where maybe you're just not the right time, you made them at the wrong time, or they're just really not interested. Of course, they'll be like, okay, I think we can cut the meeting short because we're not interested. I've had meetings like that, of course, and that's part of the job, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's about having a positive mindset
Yeah.
because if you have 4 meetings a week, one is like that, and three are excellent with a sign. Why should you get downbeat by the one that doesn't go well?
Yeah.
So if you have a negative mindset, that one meeting, and let's assume that you had that meeting on Monday, the rest of your week,
Mm.
knowing you have 3 meetings to come, you could just not be the same person. Have a positive mindset, have a goal, have everything that you want to do to achieve that goal. Three, surround yourself by people that are really, really positive and inspiring.
Wow.
So watch videos like this, watch videos that you can learn from, speak to people that you can learn from, and five, and most importantly, just kind of be prayerful. Just be because sometimes you need luck. Sometimes with these things you need luck. So just be prayerful, just be very steadfast, very, very devoted.
Yeah, I mean, you just concluded for myself because it was my last question.
Yeah.
What is your main advice for someone who's willing to build their own bigger picture and especially the nature of your close friends?
Yep, yeah, those five points, like I said, those I think for me those are the you obviously can rewind
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but those are the 5 key points I think. No matter what industry you're in, where you are in life, and your circumstances, I think if you apply those 5 things, definitely helps. You can have many friends, but maybe when it comes to your close friends that really, really you interact with a lot, there should be friends that really, really inspire you, that kind of want the best for you and would always push you to the limit. Sometimes they may push you too hard, and that's absolutely fine. You can get frustrated or annoyed, and actually even ruin the friendship, whatever. But the point is, like, so when there's people that would tell you that, what, I think you should stop staying at home doing this. I think you should probably do this or do that, and things that may not be popular for your ears, but will definitely develop you and grow you as a person.
Yeah, wow. Really, thank you very much, Sema, for all your advice, for your time that you spend. Really,
Thank
thank
you.
you very
Thanks.
much. Just one question. Is it possible that if people are interested and they have questions, I can submit their question to you?
Yeah, sure.
Fine with
Anytime.
you?
No problem.
Okay,
Anytime.
thank
Absolutely
you.
fine. Thanks a lot. I appreciate everything, and I enjoyed the session. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, me too. Like it was really insightful and inspirational, and your tips are amazing. That I will apply it from Monday. Come back
Thanks.
to
Thanks. Merci.
work.
Gracias. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for watching this amazing interview with Sema. My favorite takeaway was Sema's 5 keys to achieve an outstanding career. I'll tell you now. First, have a positive mindset. Second, have a goal. Third, gather the resources needed to achieve your goal. Fourth, surround yourself with positive and inspiring people. And fifth, be prayerful. What's yours? Comment your favorite takeaway below. And please share and tag my own bigger picture to your social media. Until the next one, take care of you and your beloved guys. Bye.